Are you coming back, Wes? Yeah. Okay.
He's on a toilet break.
The reason you ended up in a little bit late because you do have a proper job now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're first team coach at Stoke.
Yeah. Assistant first team coach under Alex Neil, a good Scotsman. It's amazing because when obviously he took over from Michael O'Neill, I just literally started there last August, and unfortunately Michael lost his job. But thankfully now he's back in with Northern Ireland. But Alex Neil, he's literally same age as myself, but he's nearly managed. I don't know if he's at the 500 game mark or he's not close enough to it. You know, he's had obviously good success with Norwich. Well, Hamilton initially where he started, and then down at Norwich and Preston, and hopefully he can get Stoke going again too. You know, so. And obviously, not to mention working with the Irish team as well. So,
did you not go to Sunderland as well?
Well, sorry, apologies. It was short and sweet, but it was very good, very good. The success he had, obviously, getting Sunderland back into the Championship was brilliant.
So my regards, please.
I will indeed.
How did the Ireland job come about, John?
Just a call from Stephen, really.
Did you know him well in advance of the call?
Yeah, a little bit in terms of obviously some of the dealings from the under-21s. Excuse me, the interactions, because obviously some of the staff, Jim Crawford.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'd worked with Stephen and Alan Reynolds. I'd worked with Stephen before at club level too. So there's obviously been different conversations maybe previously too that I just felt at the time I wasn't ready to kind of jump to the senior level. I wanted to kind of finish off what I was doing, kind of earning me stripes, so to speak, learning at Reading and learning with the Irish under-21s too. So when the approach came around this time, I felt it was too good an opportunity to turn down, in a sense of, for me, an Irish kid growing up in Ireland, getting a chance to work, first of all play, but then to work with the senior team, you know. So I was very honoured to accept it this time round.
What did he say he was looking for you to bring?
Victory. No. Just exactly what I've kind of always done, that honesty and understanding of what it takes to represent Ireland, but to compete at the highest level with Ireland, to win, to get to obviously major tournaments, and to help out, to help a fantastic young squad, and put that all together really, with the mix of the staff that Stephen's got together there already, with Keith and Stephen Rice and Dean Kiley and the backroom staff. It was really pleasing to see, because obviously speaking to the current squad or lads that I'd obviously played with, you hear about the atmosphere and different things. So it was brilliant to see how quick it was, the Latvia and France game, but to actually see the background and what's going on and how the atmosphere is amongst the squad. It was brilliant to see, I have to say.
And I hear the night before the game, you sat Seamus Coleman down and you showed him the 2009 Champions League final and your performance against Henry and said, this is what you do against Mbappe.
Oh no, we were touch and go with Seamus the whole week, whether he was going to be fit or not. So to do what he did, look, it wasn't a surprise to us. I think Stephen had made his mind up, in the sense of once Seamus is fit and playing for Everton, he's going to play for Ireland. It's as simple as that, really, you know. So obviously, shame what's happened. Waiting to see the full. Obviously, it's not good news, but it's not as damaging as it could have been. So I believe. So hopefully we'll see him back. We'll see him back in a green shirt and whatever Everton decide to do as well.
What was your sense of what Stephen Kenny has been trying to do with the Irish team from afar? There was no doubt the football was more ambitious. The criticism levelled at the team was maybe they were a bit too nice to play, or one of the criticisms was you don't want to lose that Irish grit and in-your-face mentality, which would have made lots of sides that you would have played for very hard to beat as well, and striking that balance.
Yeah, striking the balance. I think that's Stephen always mentions it about the kind of an Irish identity, but also having that kind of newfound belief of, no, we're going to control possession as best we can. Like, you have to understand that when you're playing at France or whoever it might be, they're going to have a bit of possession as well. Like, you know, so that's just, it's a natural thing. But he wants to give that confidence to the younger players, and hopefully we just need to see more of them. You'll know yourself, lads, if the more players that are playing at a higher level, they come together, the more challenging they get. If they do get to play in the Premier League, if they do get to play in the Champions League, their decision making's better. They're coming into the Irish camps then. Their decision making in the games will be better. They're better equipped to deal with certain standard of players, and you're just increasing your chances of winning the games that really matter.
And would you have ever had the instinct, and I don't know the answer to this, I'm not asking with an agenda, I'm just genuinely curious, that over the last couple of years when results weren't good, oh, maybe we should play a bit less, maybe we do need to go a bit more direct, a bit more pragmatic. What was your sense on that front, or did you think they're on the right track?
No, you'd always kind of think that if you have that belief, that you kind of have to really stick to it, and that's what I see with kind of managers and coaches now, that they kind of really stick to it, and they probably double down on it then in the sense of, no, this is what we're going to do, we really have to. But ultimately, you know, behind it, you have to win games.
Yes.
So that's the kickback in your head, thinking we need to win here as well too. So it's crucial. But I think obviously the changing of the squad in terms of the age profile of the squad too would have given Stephen a chance to obviously introduce the new blood as well into the squad. So that's been a big plus too. And it was look. When I see the level of players now, I'm hoping, and I think there'll be lots more in the Premier League very soon too.
Do you have to be very mindful of the level of players when you're sitting down in your designing sessions? Because, like, I think when you broke into the squad, like, every player who's on the bench was an established Premier League player as well. That, you know, some of these players are playing League One now. Some of them are struggling to get in Championship sides. That actually you have to coach to their ability.
No, I wouldn't say so, because I think the level of competition now in the Premier League and the Championship to a degree, the quality of the squads, the quality of the players, I think that's what I'm talking about. I think you'll be surprised that when you see the standard of performance, say, from whether it be in Malumbi against France, Jason Knight against France, the stuff that he was doing off the ball, and I'm thinking that's really high level stuff.
Okay.
The understanding, taking the knowledge on board of what we were trying to do that evening was brilliant to see. So there's no problem. And look, everything's different in the sense of when we're preparing for certain games. The Latvia game was obviously very different to the French game and what we were going to be expecting.
Without putting too much pressure on him, but although he seems to have fairly broad shoulders, what's your read on a certain Evan Ferguson?
Yeah, look, really good. I have no problem saying it in terms of. I think he'll give Robbie's record a good run for his money, you know.
Do you
Wow.
Really?
Look, fingers crossed he does. I think he's got that ability, and obviously that probably will heap loads more pressure on him. But
Well, John, I mean, you've written the headline, but it's up to you.
no, I just think he's such a good kid in terms of how he goes about his training, his attitude. Obviously, just rightly so, signed a new deal with Brighton as well, and the club there seem to be doing everything really brilliantly by him too, and how they're using him. I think Wes will know having Danny Welbeck to learn from as well in terms of attitude, application, and how you dedicate your life to being a top pro as well will be brilliant for him. And the manager he previously had and his current manager seem to have done brilliantly for him too. So look, it's brilliant. I think that's the thing. The younger players, they have to have that confidence now in the Premier League. We have to have that belief in them that they can really make a mark on it. And I think he's shown this season that he's going to be here, fingers crossed, for a long time to come in terms of that level.
Have you seen much of him, Graeme?
Not seen him live, but I mean he's a big lad. He's got presence. He's quick. He takes the ball early. It's dangerous, but he looks like he could be a star. You've cracked it with him, because you can be in a team if you've got an out-and-out goal scorer, you don't have to be playing well every week to win football matches. You just be solid everywhere else. But he looks like he's... I'm a bit disappointed he's not Scottish with the name Ferguson. That's actually my mum's name as well. So, but I'm sure we must be related. If not, I'll be claiming some sort of relation when he becomes a star. But you know, he looks like he's got everything.
Yeah.
Good lad. Is he a good lad?
Great kid. And his dad, obviously, I played under 21 with his dad in the Toulon tournament a few years ago. And his dad was a tough tackling centre back, believe it or not. So no, but I know the background a little bit in the sense of what they would have been high hopes for him, etc. Playing for Bows when he was only
14.
14.
I think what
16.
sticks out as well is obviously his physical attributes, but he's got movement.
Yeah.
You know, he looks as if he's playing the game in his head, where you got lesser strikers who just react to things, but he's thinking ahead all the time. And if he is what he at this age, if he's, he can only get better.
You see,
I
can't remember the game. There was one little deft touch before he scored. I'm trying to remember who it was against. I was at home for Brighton, but when I saw that as well, and I'd seen little bits, but the jump he's made so quickly as well, it's been a bit scary too in that sense.
Well, against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, he just looked like he'd had 2 or 3 seasons under him. It's in the space of a month, he just had totally settled.
But let's not build him up anymore. Like he's only going to take Robbie's record.
Well, take the line about Robbie's record is interesting because he obviously has such an brilliant all-round game. I'm wondering Robbie's mentality.
The fact I'm mentioning that kind of shows.
Do you see the same sort of mentality that Robbie had? Not yet. To get goals?
Not yet in terms of I would say the goal scoring aspect of Robbie in that sense. But
how big is he? How big is he?
He's about 6'1".
He looks in good shape.
Yeah. 6'1", so and you saw how he coped with Liverpool centre backs at the time. And obviously he's well able to cope physically, and he's got that understanding of movement. And I think the way Brighton are playing actually at the minute it's really kind of helping him develop too.
And around the French game, it was like the whole week was Evan Ferguson's. You know, this is his arrival, and we put him on the front page of even the programme against France, and you could see he was so pumped up during the anthem. I don't know if you shot the shots.
I saw it afterwards.
Yeah, but he seemed to handle that week unbelievably well. I thought it would be a lot for any teenager.
Yeah, but it was funny when the manager kind of practicing penalties or different things as well, and the manager might have said to him, "Well, would you be okay with a penalty?" Like, yeah, no problem. Nothing was phasing him. Rightly so, in the sense that he's performing in the Premier League.
Sure.
You know what I mean? He's performing at that. Brighton could potentially, well, they're going to finish top 6. It looks like maybe higher. You know. So that's the level he's at now, and he's performing. And you see how Brighton were effective when he wasn't in the team as well.
Okay.
That just kind of shows you the standards he's kind of hitting. You know.
Brightened up everyone's decade ahead, which is good. That's good. Medium term for you, getting a head coach job at a club, is that the medium term ambition? That's where you want to go, or would you always like to be a number 2?
No, but I want fully focused on obviously what I'm currently doing, and that this campaign obviously with Ireland as well.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's very mapped out. Like you're talking about Kenny rang you before. There's patience.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of hoping, because look what we're seeing with management at the minute, whether it be the Championship, Premier League, every league.
Part of me thinks you're insane. When you look at Gerrard, Lampard, their great careers and what they're going through.
Yeah, but I want to give it a go. Like that's why I'm obviously I've done the badges, learning with different managers, coaches, assistant role with the 21s, now up with the seniors. So I'm getting great experience. Obviously at Stoke now with Alex Neil, how he approaches games tactically, changing formations during the game. It's brilliant for me to see all that, you know, and to get an understanding of what's needed to get a really competitive team.
So you'll be the Ireland manager when Evan Ferguson breaks Robbie's record.
How far that down the line could be? No, look, who knows? Who knows? That's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you want to get into management, to manage at the highest level possible, and managing your country would would be incredible.
Well, we wish you well. I mean, it's great to have you on board. It's brilliant, and fingers crossed for this year ahead, because the country's itching for a bit of success.
Yeah, and look, fingers crossed. You see the kind of, I think the atmosphere, obviously, the build up to the French game, but in terms of the atmosphere in and around the squad that I was able to feel for the first time and see for the first time, it was brilliant to see, and they've really got a good group. We really have a good group.
Good.
And hopefully we can kickstart it again in June.
We wanted to pick your collective brains on certain great players. Graeme, you have played with many of the best, and you've seen more than most. Where is Erling Haaland amongst the great strikers you've seen?
He has the potential to be up there with the very best. You know, I think, what is he, 23, 24? I mean, these are two centre-backs. I don't think he's one that you'd enjoy playing against.
It's not a good day, is it? You have to be outstanding the way he's performed this season.
See, he can take you on in everything. He can get in a race with you. He can out-jump you. He can out-muscle you. And he's got the movement as well.
Yeah.
You know, he's switched on all the time. The game is never dead until the whistle goes for him. You know, he's alive in the box. He's happy not to have too many touches, and as long as he's scoring goals, he's not one that. The only thing that's going to stop him getting better and better, because I think even his touch this year. You know, you're talking about, you know, there is different ways to play football. You've got the guy who invented what is deemed the way everyone wants to play today, rolling out from the back and passing your way through. But against Arsenal, City went long to Haaland. You know, they missed that first press. He's got the physical attributes to take a hold of it and fight centre halves, but he was bringing it down, and they were playing from 3/4 of the way up the pitch against Arsenal. So there is other ways to play football. And can I just ask a couple of questions? You know, when you're playing, and with all due respect, when you're playing with a certain level of football player, you were centre halves. You both could take the ball. When you're playing with a centre half, and no centre half was really comfortable taking it on the edge of his box, do you have to? I think one of you guys asked the question. Do you have to change your attitude, your way of playing for that?
I suppose it's in the sense that a little bit, can you, nicest possible way, tell the keeper you're playing a certain direction today. You're not going to be passing it to the left, you're playing it to the right, more so than often. And obviously that's where the complication comes, where teams look at that and go, well, they know a certain centre-back is weaker on the ball. It might be two right-footers playing, so the guy on the left is not on his natural foot. We're going to put the press on him. And that's where Graeme's spot on. You just have to beat the press, skip it over, and it's a long pass rather than a long ball. And if you can do that right, you're straight away into the opposition half and you're attacking. So it's that balance of knowing what the player's strength is and how comfortable he is when you put him under pressure in training to see, can he do it, and give him that confidence. And if he can't, you learn fairly quickly, if your job is going to be on the line, maybe let's not keep giving it to him, you know. But so it's strange. Some managers you look at and think, oh, they're still doing this, they're still doing that. But that's what they're focusing on day in, day out. They feel that that's going to get them the results.
Yeah, it's funny. Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville were debating who's had a bigger influence in football. And Carragher was saying, like, he could not have more respect for Ferguson, but Ferguson didn't change the game, was his argument, whereas Pep has changed the game, and it's infiltrated down to championship level with his tactics and people playing the ball out the way you've talked about.
I won't change the game. He's given a new idea. I don't think he's changed the game.
Well, I guess,
I know
impact on the game.
Yeah, look, it's. I would say
Pep's Fergie's another gravy. What, 3 or 4 teams did Fergie build?
Yeah.
You know, if you look at Pep's record, he takes over Barcelona. Previous to him, Frank Rijkaard, I think, won a couple of leagues. A 20-year-old Messi, 24-year-old Xavi, 23-year-old Iniesta, Puyol, 24, 25. So he took over a really healthy situation. And then he does really well. And then he goes to Bayern Munich, and he took over from a guy called Jupp Heynckes, who the year before had won 4 trophies, all of them. And then he comes to City, with City having won a couple of leagues with Pellegrini and Mancini. So wherever Pep's been, he's had the best group of players in that league. He's not really built a football club. Fergie went to Man United when they weren't in great shape.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can compare them. For me, Fergie is the greatest manager in the history of the Premier League.
Yeah.
Do you?
We won't disagree, will we?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Do you think Pep is a touch overrated then in terms of the ideas?
Do I think he's...
Do you think Pep is overrated the way he's being talked
I wouldn't
about?
say he's overrated, because I've said already, I think football management is so hard. It's never been harder. Where he scores points, he's... Listen, I believe this is the strongest group of players I've ever seen in English football. I think when you look at only the goalkeeper, De Bruyne, and now Haaland, whatever sub he's bringing on is like for like in terms of quality, other than those three positions, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he manages them well, he keeps them all on their toes. But again, my experience of being in a dressing room that's winning, what keeps you on your toes more than anything else is competition for places. And he has that more than anyone else.
So do you look at the football Guardiola teams play and you think you've seen it before, it's not as revolutionary as some of us are making out? Because I can't think of... You don't think it is? No.
I played in 3 European Cup finals. In the 3 European Cup finals, fullbacks from open play scored in the games.
Yeah.
I played as a centre midfield player. The fullbacks, people would always wonder why we had so much possession. The fullbacks played in front of me. I sat in front of the 2 defenders, central defenders. Fullbacks always pushed up and come in and played in midfield. We always outnumbered people in midfield. There's no, the modern footballer, fullbacks joining in. Sorry, it was done before I played at Liverpool. There is no new ways. Oh, false number 9. What the fuck was Kenny Dalglish? What was Teddy Sheringham? It's all been done. But in the business I used to be in, you got all the,
He's getting
the modern terminology, the inverted fullbacks.
Inverted fullbacks, yeah.
The low block, the high block, the medium block. Pressing used to be called closing down.
Yeah.
We were always told the best team at closing down, now pressing, would win the league. And if you analyse what pressing and closing down means, they didn't worry about us with the ball, like your teams you played in. Yeah. Don't worry about when you've got the ball, because it's instinctive, and because you're a good player, and sometimes great players, they see a picture that the rest don't. So don't worry about when you've got the ball. It's when you don't have the ball. And pressing means, if you're doing that the best, means you're working harder than anyone else. So you've got the talent, you combine that with the pressing, closing down, do that the best, you're going to be successful.
Could I ask?
No, there's nothing new in football.
Could I ask John a question, and I'd love to get your take on it. You're involved in coaching at the moment.
Yeah.
What I'm reading or hearing people talk about is that on the ball, Graeme's talking about on the ball, and it's put on Guardiola as well, that there are preordained patterns now, and that some stuff is rehearsed, and that is a departure. Is that what's happening in the coaching
American
game?
Football.
Well, I think Jose Mourinho would agree with you. He'd say you can't plan for those variables. Other coaches say you can. I don't know what.
A little bit, not a tiny bit in the attacking. If you see De Bruyne in that little half position where he's always crossing it, and you see Haaland, that's a set routine of when it's passed back from a high full-back, maybe cutting it back a bit to De Bruyne at the edge of the box.
He just plays it first time.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But
that is done that.
Yeah, that is set up. You can see Haaland's movement. He's at the near, then he's spinning around to the back because he knows De Bruyne, without even looking, he's putting it in that area.
But Aguero was doing that with De Bruyne. The minute he saw the ball come to De Bruyne,
bang, he's on the move.
He was playing it between the last defender and the goalkeeper, and Aguero was attacking that. How many times do you see him get in there and just...
Yeah.
I mean, De Bruyne is a very special
Saying
player.
it, not just De Bruyne, David Silva. We were trying to mark Aguero. The minute David Silva got the ball, he's alive. He's literally on your shoulder, moving straight, because he knows certain players get on the ball, that things are going to happen as well. And but so there is, say, patterns of play and different things. Yeah, you work on stuff, but ultimately you have an opposition there that
can change the picture. Yeah.
So
you agree with Graeme, do you?
Attacking plays has to be off the cuff.
It has to be.
Has to be.
Do you agree, John?
Scholesy was. I would say Scholesy was. He'd play that ball first time. If you ever watch the games, he'd play it first time, and the defenders wouldn't know what's going on. The striker would. He'd be on it, but he'd see it and he'd play it. We don't necessarily. You can't train that.
Yes.
You don't train it. He just sees it, he plays it, and the striker's got the ability to see it and run onto it.
Have you not trained it that the striker goes?
Yeah, the strengths of the players too. If you have a striker that links it, if you have a striker that runs it
I'll
behind,
describe football
your pattern you got behind.
for fucking half-wit. You're on the pitch. There's one person or two people in the time and time again that really only matter in your football team, and that's your two strikers. Everyone else in the team were just hod carriers. We're there to service them. We're there to get the ball to them as quickly and as accurately and give them time to do the damage. That's what it's about. How you get there, whether it's an over-the-top ball to get someone in a race, or it's slick passing, the game is simple, but we're now living, because there's that much interest in it, and there's so many anoraks involved, and social media, we're complicating a game that isn't really very complicated.
Do you agree with that, Wes? What's your sense of?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Listen, that's why they get paid the most money. These are the goal scorers. They win your games. Obviously, other people chip in, but ultimately, you want the ball in the box for them to finish.
And when you hear conversations about transition and patterns of play and all that stuff, do you roll your eyes a touch as well?
Go and speak to Shazer.
In possession, out of possession,
Well, how do you work that as a coach then, where you have the basics of football, but if you're going in and you're looking for a job, you need to have your presentation. You need to be able to break it down into minute detail. Players now, a lot of them want that level of data.
Yeah, but you look, without a doubt they do, and the players have been getting that now in the academies. And that's why, obviously, the details they're given in terms of how many crosses they might have had, how many, all that stuff, and they're wanting more video analysis of training. They want the clips sent through of them. All that stuff.
Something, and it baffles me. And maybe I was just thick. I was never a substitute, so I never had to come on. So maybe,
Wow.
I see.
I know what you're going to say.
I see someone come on.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got the third coach. He's got the A4, or he's got the iPad. And the guy's wanting to go on the fucking pitch, and this guy is flicking the page and he's nodding and he's flicking and he's nodding and he's flicking on the pitch. Let me tell you how it works. Tell me if you agree.
Do you know what?
That's his job.
Quickly.
It never happened to me, but I just want to get on the fucking pitch. What are nothing would register with the substitute.
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing. It's all show. What? Am I wrong?
I'm with you, because I think the players should know.
But
Generally, you're only coming on in your position or...
What you need to know.
Exactly.
You mark number 6. If you're not marking, you're on near post, you're on the far post, you're on the penalty spot.
I'm loving this because the job is going to be so much easier.
You're on the
Graeme
D.
Souness said you should know this, so on you go.
It baffles me. This is what baffles me as well. It's like, let me tell you, see when you're playing a game, you're never looking at the dugout. The only time you'd look at the dugout if someone went down injured and someone's shouting to you. You're playing at Old Trafford, 75,000 people. What the fuck are you going to hear? And there's managers do it knowing, camera's on me, I'm going to show them how clever I am. Fucking...
Do you think Guardiola has any influence in-game with the way he is on the sideline?
Well,
if you look to be on that side. I mean, if he was trying to get something across, but in general,
maybe with the players, as I said, maybe with the players on the side that he's close to, he can possibly influence with it, but he's not going to be able to influence the far side as much.
Unless it stops for a reason, he can get someone over and sell it.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, tell him to keep showing them inside, not outside or whatever. Just something very simple. And this reams of information, oh, dearie me. They must all have masters in something that they can understand what's being said to them.
John, is that not literally your job on the sideline for Ireland?
The Masters as well. It's crazy because, as I said, all the stuff is done during the week, the preparation, you have a meeting beforehand, and all the detail is given. It's sent out on, websites for them to check. It's sent to their phones, WhatsApp, and probably, not all the time, but when you're just going through the okay, you're picking up 6, or you're going to be picking up 20, whatever number you're picking up now. The first corner or free kick that they happen to go on to they're looking back over at you going, what? I just
Who am I picking up? What
told you
numbers?
10 seconds ago. It's like the first thing they forget, the last thing you tell them. But I will say they're getting much better. They're getting much better.
Okay.
Don't know whether it's the coaching or what are the players' intelligence, but they're taking it on board.
Do you think
much
tonight
better.
is going to be a pivotal night in your coaching career and we'll
Exactly.
see a
I'm
different
just going
John
to tell
O'Shea
him,
at the
look,
weekend?
I'm not telling you anymore. You should know this. You should know this.
So, John, who do you think is the best manager in the world and why?
Oh. I would have loved playing for a Graeme Souness team. It would have been straightforward. You would have known what you were doing. It's tough. Look, at the minute, and look, what he's doing with Brighton, De Zerbi has to be in the picture for me in terms of what he's doing with the squad, the players, and how he's got them playing. The impact he's had so quickly going into a club. You'd have to say that's very impressive. That's very impressive.
He inherited a very healthy situation.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I think he's took it on a bit.
I would go for Eddie Howe. Not the best in the world. You're talking the Premier League. If you were, for me, is it a surprise if City win the league? I think if Arteta were to win it, then it'd be an argument for him to be the manager of the year. But right now, say Arsenal don't win it, City win it, I think there's a real argument for Eddie Howe at Newcastle. Yeah. I mean, you think what he's done to Almiron, what he's done to Joe Linton. He's made players that you're thinking Premier League's too tough for you. You better find another home. He's turned them into real Premier League players. Yeah. He's done very, very well.
He'd definitely be in the mix of. He'd be thinking manager of the season as well in terms of how he's approached it and how he's gone about it, and very much under the radar.
Is De Zerbi someone you'd study then?
I wouldn't say study as such, but we got the chance to play them in the FA Cup earlier on in the season, and we saw at first hand on lots of the stats. Graeme is going to be loving this now on all the metrics of XG and attacking. They're ahead of obviously some of the top teams in Europe. You know, they're in the mix with the top teams in Europe. So they're doing something right. He's doing something right, definitely. But no, there's lots of.
I tell you, he's doing recruitment. The number one thing you have to get right at a football club is recruitment. They're very, very good at that, and they don't pay over the odds.
Yeah,
do very well at that.
No, he just as a manager, look, Guardiola, Klopp, Ten Hag, the impact he's kind of had, just coming in, and the pressure he's been under. I think he's definitely done okay. I think everyone would kind of, a United fan would admit they're happy with him and he's done okay, but they know he's got work to do as well, because the Newcastle are going to get stronger. Brighton have obviously just come up. You can't imagine Chelsea having as bad a season again. So all those teams, the challenge in the Premier League is going to be so interesting over the next year or so. It's going to be
and
interesting.
If United get Qatari owners,
going to kick off then.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Wes, one to you then, a lot of United fans, final thought. How highly do you rate the job Ten Hag is doing? Would you be optimistic in the short term?
Yeah, listen, honestly, at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't have put us where we were, where we are now. You know, yes, we've won the Carabao Cup, which is a good achievement. It's not where you want to be, but we're in the FA Cup. And the challenge probably this season was to get in the Champions League. It was simple as that. But I think at times we've been excellent. We're still not quite there. You know, we're still missing players here and there. When I think the best players are not fit, we still struggle.
Yeah.
So, it's not an end product, but I think what the manager's got out of the players, the way I always think the players have to have respect for the manager first of all, and I think he's come in and done that, sorted that situation out. Everyone knows why they're there. They've got to graft, they've got to work. So in that sense, he's had a really good season.
Very last one to you. We're about to give away tickets to the final of the Champions League. Will Man City or Real Madrid be in that final?
Oh,
I think that is the final. I don't think the Italian teams are particularly strong. Those two. I thought last year Napoli were the outstanding Italian team, but they didn't get there. So I think the winner of that semi-final, and it's nip and tuck. Real Madrid are huffing and puffing in their domestic league. I think the City are more than good enough to win their league, the Champions League, and they have been in the past. But that little bit of luck on the day has not been with them. So I think it's their year. If you're pushing me, I'll say City will win it this year. They'll win it eventually.
Let's hope not, but yeah.
Real Madrid, what? Who did you say?
I said, let's hope not. But the squad is good, and you know, there's not a better time for them to try and win it.
Yeah. We are going to give away that prize now, but would you give a round of applause, please, to Graeme Souness, Wes Brown, John O'Shea, everyone.
Thank you.